Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Term 1, Week 9 and 10 English Home Language, Listening and Speaking, Grade 6 lesson. Today's lesson overview is for you to appreciate reading, understand the importance of poetry, figurative language, as well as developing writing skills. Our objectives, what you're going to do today is answer questions about a photograph, listen to a poem, make notes, as well as creating summaries. Before we begin, what is poetry? What is a poem? And what is a poet? I want you to write that down, and I'm just going to choose a few people to share what they've noted. Alright, poetry is an imaginative awareness of experience that is expressed through the use of figurative language. A poet writes poems to express his or her feelings and ideas using figurative language. Now that we know what is poetry, what is a poem and a poet, I want us to look at this poster, this presentation, and predict what we think the poem is about, the central idea, the theme of the poem. Jot down your idea in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If I were in charge of the world. That's the title of the poem you're going to be reading today. So, if you were in charge of the world, what will you change? Why? Again, I want you to note your ideas down, answering that question. If you were in charge of the world, what will you change? Why? Okay, I'm going to be counting down in 3, 2, 1. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to be watching a video, If I Were in Charge of the World by Judith. And I just want you to see if your guess about the theme of the poem was right.
If I were in charge of the world, if I were in charge of the world, I'd cancel oatmeal, Monday mornings, allergy shots, and also Sarah Steinberg. If I were in charge of the world, there'd be brighter nightlife, healthier hamsters, and basketball baskets 48 inches lower. If I were in charge of the world, you wouldn't have lonely, you wouldn't have clean, you wouldn't have bedtime, or don't punch your sister, you wouldn't even have sisters. If I were in charge of the world, a chocolate sundae with whipped cream and
I hope
nuts
you
would
enjoyed
be a
that and your
vegetable.
predictions were right.
All
Now we're going to
007
listen to the
movies
poem
would
for
be
the second
cheese.
time. This time I
And a
don't want you to
person
watch
who
the video, I
sometimes
want you
forgets to
to
brush
read along
and
with
forgets
the
to
reader
flush
and
would still
underline
be allowed to
unfamiliar
be
words
in
or the
charge
words
of
that
the
you
world.
think you do not know, and then after that we're going to be looking up their meaning from
Now,
our
what would
dictionaries.
you do if you were in charge? If I were in charge of the world, charge of the world, I cancel oatmeal, Monday mornings, allergy shots, and also Sarah Steinberg. If I were in charge of the world, there'd be brighter nightlife, healthier hamsters, and basketball baskets 48 inches lower. If I were in charge of the world, you
Now that
wouldn't
you've
have
noted the
lonely,
words that you're not familiar with,
you wouldn't
I'm
have
going to give you
clean,
enough time to look them up
you
in your
wouldn't have
thesaurus, in
bedtime,
your dictionary,
or don't punch
and
your
find at
sister.
least 2
You wouldn't
synonyms
even
for
have
each.
sisters.
And then you can just drop them down there in
If
the
I were in
chat
charge of
and
the
we can
world,
discuss them later.
a chocolate sundae with whipped cream and nuts would be a
Now that we
vegetable.
are familiar with all the
All
words,
007 movies
let
would
us
be G.
watch the video.
And a
You
person
can
who
also
sometimes
read while you're
forgets to brush
listening or
and
look at the
forgets to
pictures
flush
and enjoy.
would still be allowed to be in charge of the world. Now, what would you do if you were in charge of the world? If I were in charge of the world, I'd cancel oatmeal, Monday mornings, allergy shots,
Now that you've read
and
the
also
preamble
Sarah
times,
Steinberg.
were your predictions right?
If I were in charge
Yes,
of the
no.
world,
I want us
there'd
to
be
write down
brighter
the central
nightlife,
idea of the poem,
healthier hamsters,
the theme
and
of the
basketball
poem,
baskets 48
and
inches lower.
after that I want us to write 5
If I
common
were in
symbols
charge of
of
the
poem.
world, you wouldn't
For
have
attending the
lonely,
lesson,
you
thank
wouldn't have
you
clean,
so much and
you
see
wouldn't
you
have
next
bedtime,
time.
or don't punch your sister. You wouldn't even have sisters. If I were in charge of the world, a chocolate sundae with whipped cream and nuts would be a vegetable. All 007 movies would be G. And a person who sometimes forgets to brush and forgets to flush would still be allowed to be in charge of the world. Now, what would you do if you were in charge of the world?